Hey everyone, and welcome to RUBIN'S Mind Lab, where we break down the latest research into what it really means. Ever wonder why laughing with a friend can feel so much better than laughing alone? Well, this new study might have a clue. Imagine you are watching a hilarious stand-up comedy special or hearing a funny joke. Now imagine sharing that moment with a friend versus watching it all by yourself. Does it make a difference in how much you enjoy it? That is the big question researchers Argaman, Meir, and their colleagues wanted to explore. They were particularly curious about how we share experiences and if our faces play a key role in that. The idea is simple but powerful. When we're with someone we care about like a friend, we tend to express ourselves more, especially through our faces. Think about it. Seeing a friend smile or laugh along with you can amplify your own joy. The researchers proposed something really interesting, that more intense happy facial expressions, triggered by being with a friend, might then lead to even greater enjoyment of the experience itself. It is like a feedback loop of happiness. And a big part of this, they believe, is being able to see each other. So how did they put this to the test? They gathered 190 people and had them listen to audio clips. These clips were of different kinds of humor, like knock-knock jokes and stand-up comedy, as well as some less funny control content. The participants were split into 3 groups. Some listened with a friend over Zoom. Some listened alone but were recorded over Zoom, and a third group listened alone without being recorded by Zoom. This last group was to see if just the presence of a camera affects things. While listening, their faces were being recorded. This was super important because they wanted to measure their facial expressions, specifically signs of happiness. They also asked everyone to rate how much they enjoyed each clip. A really clever twist was that sometimes they had participants listen with their eyes open, and sometimes with their eyes closed. This was to see if seeing each other was crucial for the effects they were hypothesizing. Now for the exciting part, what did they find? It turns out being with a friend didn't always make things more enjoyable. It was actually content dependent. For some types of jokes, like the simple knock-knock jokes, listening with a friend did boost enjoyment, especially when they could see each other. But surprisingly, for the stand-up comedy, listening with a friend actually reduced enjoyment a bit. That is not what you might expect based on previous research that often says shared experiences just amplify positive feelings. But here is where the facial expressions come in. Across all types of humor, the intensity of happy facial expressions increased when participants were listening with a friend, especially when they could see each other. People with friends were smiling more. This is where the study really shines. They did a fancy analysis called a mediation analysis to see if those increased happy expressions were actually causing the change in enjoyment. And guess what? They found evidence that they were. Those brighter, happier facial expressions partially explained why the shared experience sometimes led to more enjoyment. It suggests that our outward expressions of happiness actually help to shape our internal feeling of enjoyment. This is a crucial insight. And there is more. They also looked at whether friends' expressions were synchronized, meaning if they tended to make similar facial movements at the same time, almost like they were in sync. And they found that, yes, friends' faces showed synchronization, especially when they could see each other. This suggests a real communicative dance happening, where friends are responding to each other's emotions through their expressions. A really key finding was that these social effects, the enjoyment boosts and the amplified expressions, were weaker or disappeared when participants had their eyes closed. This strongly supports the idea that being able to see your friend is super important for this whole process. It is not just about being in the same room, it is about the visual connection and the nonverbal communication it allows. So, what does all this mean? The study suggests that facial expressions aren't just passive signals of how we feel. They're active tools that shape our own emotional experience, especially when we're sharing something with a friend. When we're with a friend and can see them, we tend to express happiness more intensely. This amplified expression then feeds back and enhances our own enjoyment, particularly with certain types of content like the knock-knock jokes. The synchronization aspect also points to how we're constantly tuning into each other's emotional states. The unexpected finding that stand-up comedy was less enjoyable with a friend might be explained by something called expectation violations. Perhaps we expect certain things from stand-up, and when those expectations aren't met, especially when we're consciously trying to share the experience with a friend, it can lead to disappointment. The presence of a friend might amplify these surprises, whether positive or negative. However, friends enjoyed less than those in both solo and solo no Zoom conditions when listening to the stand-up with open eyes. This is a really interesting nuance to the shared experiences are always better idea. This study has some cool strengths like using objective facial expression measurements and a clever design with eyes open versus closed. But like all research, it has limitations. For example, they can't definitively say that facial expressions cause enjoyment. While the mediation analysis is strong evidence, it is not the same as an experiment where you directly manipulate expressions. Also, the study was done through Zoom, which is a bit different from being in the same physical space. Future research could explore how this plays out in real life, with strangers, or with more verbal interaction. Ultimately, this research gives us a fascinating glimpse into how we connect with others and how our nonverbal cues, especially our smiles, play a vital role in shaping our shared emotional lives. It's a reminder that even simple interactions like sharing a laugh with a friend are complex psychological processes. So, next time you are sharing a funny moment, pay attention to your face and your friends. You might just be co-creating your enjoyment through those smiles. What do you think about these findings? Do you find you enjoy things more with friends, or does it depend on what you are doing? Let us know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into the science of connection, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to RUBIN'S Mind Lab for more fascinating research, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next episode. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.